Chapter 3. Detectives. A bump of considerable diameter. "Should we go in?" Julius asked softly. Flavius protested, stammering with fright. "Hadn't we better call the police?" The others looked inquiringly at Mucius. On tiptoe, Mucius approached the curtain. He paused in front of it and listened again. The noise had stopped. "Maybe it's only the wind," he said. "I never heard the wind groan like that," Publius murmured. "Besides, there isn't any wind right now." Mucius pulled himself together. "Bring your lantern over here, Antonius," he ordered. "I'll see what's the matter." Antonius brought the lantern. With one decisive movement, Mucius jerked the curtain aside. "Oh!" he breathed in amazement, and stood rooted to the spot. The others peered over his shoulders. There was only a tiny window in Xantippus's room, but in spite of the dim light, the boys instantly saw that something bad had happened. Almost all the furniture had been knocked over, and scattered around the entire room were rolls of papyrus, pictures, files, writing tablets, and articles of clothing. Only the bed and a large wardrobe in the corner were still upright. There was no sign of Xantippus at all. His bed was empty, the sheets ripped. The boys were so amazed by it all that they forgot about the strange noise. Cautiously, Mucius made his way through the litter of things on the floor. He stopped in the middle of the room and looked around, shaking his head in puzzlement. "Crazy," he murmured. The others followed him. Flavius, hanging back close to the entrance, ready to flee, asked anxiously, blah, that was a tongue twister, asked anxiously, "But where is Xantippus?" Antonius flashed his lantern into the tiny alcove, which served as a kitchen. "Not here," he reported. Then he looked under the bed, but Xantippus was not there either. "Where can he possibly be?" Flavius wondered. "He's skipped out," Publius said, grinning. "Yes, that's it," Antonius exclaimed. "He's sailed back to Greece because he's sick and tired of us. He had a fit of temper and knocked over all the furniture before he left." Publius laughed scornfully. "I thought Lucos had turned him into a pig." Just then the muffled groan was heard once more. This time it was louder and lasted longer. It came unmistakably from the corner where the wardrobe stood. The boys froze in their tracks. "There's something in there," Mucius whispered. "A ghost," Antonius breathed. "Let's get out of here," Flavius murmured. But the others stared hypnotized at the wardrobe. The groaning began again, and then there was a hoarse croaking. "There's someone locked up in there," Mucius said excitedly. He started to creep toward the wardrobe. "Don't open it," Flavius warned in a choked voice. "Yes," Mucius said, "we have to. He might suffocate." "It isn't a person," Antonius insisted. "It's a ghost. A ghost can't suffocate." "Shut up," Mucius snapped. "Ghosts don't sit in wardrobes in the morning. I'm going to open it. Give me some light." Antonius directed the glow of the lantern at the wardrobe door, but his hand was trembling, and the feeble light danced like a will-o'-the-wisp up and down the wall. More croaking issued from the wardrobe. The key was sticking in the lock and on the outside. Mucius boldly turned it, wrenched the door open, and stood back in amazement. In the wardrobe sat Xantippus, tied up like a bundle of old rags. His hands were bound behind his back, and a crude gag made of strips of sheeting had been wound around his face, leaving only his eyes and his unkempt hair visible. "Xantippus!" the boys cried. From under the gag there came an irritable croak. "Why is he sitting in a wardrobe?" Flavius said. Xantippus produced a gobbling sound like a goose. "He wants to get out," Antonius observed. Mucius suddenly came to life. "Don't stand around like dumbbells," he shouted at the others. "We can't leave him in there like that. Come on, help me. Give me a hand." Oh, there's a nice picture you probably see in your book. Xantippus was tightly wedged into the wardrobe, but by pulling together they managed to pry him loose. He fell roughly to the floor, growling furiously. Mucius unwound the gag, bent over their teacher, and asked with concern, "How do you feel?" Instead of replying, Xantippus closed his eyes and heaved a sigh. "He's dying," Antonius said. At that, Xantippus opened his eyes again and growled ferociously, "By Jupiter and all the heavenly gods, why did you wait so long? I almost suffocated." "Quick, untie me! My arms and my legs are dead! You'd better get a knife from the kitchen." Antonius and Publius managed to untie the ropes around Xanthippus's legs. With the big bread knife that Flavius brought from the kitchen, Mucius freed their teacher's hands. Xanthippus moved his arms cautiously and began clenching and unclenching his fists, groaning softly. "Help me," he ordered the boys. "I can't stand up." The boys raised him to his feet and led him to his bed, where he sank down exhausted. After a while, he began feeling his right leg. His features twisted with pain. "My leg," he complained. "I am certain I have sprained it. Of course it's swollen. Ouch! Oh, ouch! I can't possibly stand on it." Then his hands flew to his head and he exclaimed, "A bump!" "I thought so. And what a bump! The swelling is approximately round and of a considerable diameter." He reached up to the shelf above his bed for a small polished metal mirror and stared gloomily into it. For a long while, Mucius cleared his throat and ventured a respectful question. "How did you come to be in the wardrobe, sir?" Xanthippus gave the boys a long, mournful look. "I was assaulted last night," he said with a sigh.